Okay, and we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Sharks for Kids Marine Science Hangout. For those who don't know, Sharks for Kids is all about creating the next generation of ocean and shark advocates through education, outreach, and adventure. After the Hangout, check out sharks4kids.com and you can get exciting lessons, videos, activities, and interviews for classrooms and students to learn more about sharks. So I'm excited to introduce the amazing Cristina Zenato. Cristina grew up in the rainforests of the African Congo, and she's developed a passion for the outdoors and especially a love for the water. So when she was young, journeyed to the Bahamas and learned to dive. And ever since then, she's made it her life. And so she works with sharks in the wild, and she's said to have a natural gift with sharks. So with that, I will hand it over to Cristina. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. So first of all, I am not in my natural settings. I'm not in the Bahamas. I'm actually away. I just completed a race, and actually it's a race that I'm practicing to basically run in Chicago Marathon to fundraise to protect sharks. So it's kind of like fun. I'm like running and at the same time fundraising, and it's all for sharks and oceans conservation. So that's the reason why I don't have the beach behind me. Just a quick introduction, like Melissa said, I moved to the Bahamas 23 years ago. And basically, I live and work with sharks. I literally live. I'm in the water with them many hours per day, every day. Primarily Caribbean Reef Sharks, but I also been in many places in the world, and I met other people that live and work with sharks. And so I've been in the water with like bull sharks and tiger sharks and blue sharks and mako sharks and whale sharks and great whites and many, many more, like the 7 gills and some unique ones, you know, black tips, white tip, thorny nerve sharks and all of that. So that's where my knowledge comes from. I'm always in the water with sharks. What I prepared today is something a little bit different. Let me do a share screen. So you don't have to look at my face. It's actually more fun to just look at my presentation. And it is a result of basically 10 years of my work. So what happens is 23 years in the water with sharks. I receive a lot of questions about sharks. Everybody, I'm pretty sure you're going to have quite a lot of questions about sharks. So as I keep receiving these questions, I put together a little presentation. It's like, oh, which one are the 10 most asked questions about sharks? All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to answer some of the questions. And then if you have more, we can go ahead and do that. How does that sound, Melissa?
That sounds great.
Very good. So first of all, I need to give a credit. I always like to mention the people that inspired me. This is my dad. He was my biggest inspiration to go to the water. He was a military diver, and I thought he was the most adventurous individual I ever met. And to this day, he still is the most adventurous individual I ever met. So he was my first inspiration to go and become a scuba diver. And once I became a scuba diver, nothing else mattered for me. So I just wanted to just be diving every day. I actually thought that if I could have a job as a scuba diver, my mom would stop telling me that it was time to get out of the water. So that was my main goal, to become a scuba diver. So my mom would just stop telling me, get out of the water. And then the second person that is a big mentor for me, his name is Ben Rose, and he lives in the Bahamas. And he was the gentleman that introduced me to working and diving with sharks and recognized I had a gift. I'll show you a little bit later with the pictures. So these are my 2 biggest inspirations. And then among others, many, many other ones. But these are the 2 that I credit most of my passions to. So the first question I always receive is, oh my God, I'm about to go in the water. How do I prevent a shark attack? So I give people these options. Carry a spear gun, wear the chain suit like I do, or learn about sharks. And the true answer is learn about sharks. Most sharks you can go in the water and be safe with, and you can actually very much swim with. The poor sharks have a very, very bad reputation, and they also have a very, very terrible name. They think the shark, amongst many origins, also come from the German Schurke. which means worthless. And it means basically a person or somebody who unscrupulously exploits or swindles others. I mean, poor sharks, they already start with a terrible name, and they have to make up for all the other myths that are about sharks. So quite a lot of myths about sharks is that you go in the water and they'll be there to eat you. But most sharks are comfortable and good to be in the water with. First of all, there's over 500 different species of sharks. All right, there's 8 orders, 30 families, and there's 99 genres. There's sharks as big as a bus, but that feed on plankton, like the whale shark. And so this is just basically a giant whale shark, okay? And there's sharks, this is an adult lantern shark, so sharks that can fit in the palm of your hand in size. So it's really unique. When we say shark, it's like saying birds. There's so many and so different. And once we learn about them, then we do realize that 99% of the time I can easily go in the water and swim with them and be with them. And only sometimes, because the water is their kingdom and not ours, maybe I need to be a little bit more careful and stay out of the water. But if we learn about sharks, it's very safe to be in the water with them. It's then followed by the second question: which shark is the most aggressive? And so usually people ask me the bull shark, the great white, the tiger shark, and the oceanic white tip. And the biggest problem with this question is that we try to give sharks human behaviors. So we think the sharks are home watching Shark Week going, yeah, it's me week. But sharks are not humans, nor dogs, nor bears, nor wolves, nor lions. So again, we need to learn about sharks and how they behave. So a shark that bites down on its food and shakes the head from side to side to remove a chunk of the food, whatever it's a piece of a dead fish or a piece of a dead whale, it's not an aggressive behavior. That's how the shark eats. You know, they can't use knife and fork. They have to basically use their teeth in order to take the food out of their prey. So imagine, look at your dog. Your dog eats in the bowl. If you ate like that in your food out of your plate, your mom and dad would not be very pleased, no. So we can't give sharks behaviors that belong to humans. So being aggressive or being angry or being jealous or anything like that. Sharks do eat, and when they're not hungry or when they're not interested in food, they'll just swim around the ocean very comfortably with all the rest of the fish. So that's very important to know. The third one, can I go in the water if I have a cut on my finger? So we know the sharks have a very good sense of smell, and that is what attracts them to their, if you fish and the fish is bleeding, they're attracted to fish blood, not to human blood. So it's very, very interesting. Everybody thinks, I have a little cut on my finger and the shark is going to come after me because I have blood. It's like, first of all, humans are not on their menu. And so they're not attracted to their blood. And so if you have a little cut on your finger or anything like that, chances are the sharks won't even notice, will not even be interested in that. So we don't have to worry about the fact that we have a little cut on our finger and we're bleeding to go in the water with. And then the next one is, that's me in the picture. So I put sharks to sleep. That's my gift. Sharks come in and want to be pet. And so they come on my lap and they just want to be pet. And so I keep them there and I just give a nice gentle rubs. The sharks I work with, I've known for about 9-10 years, some of them. So they're like my babies. And I know their personalities, and some like to be pet more and some like to be pet less. But a lot of people think that because the sharks stop swimming, they won't be able to breathe. And actually, that's another myth about sharks. Most of the sharks have 2 ways of breathing. One, it's called the ram ventilation. So as they swim by, they'll keep their mouth slightly open and water will flow into their mouth through their gills, where they'll basically grab the oxygen. And then the second system that many, many, many species have, it's called buccal pumping. And they're capable of basically pumping the water over their gills by the movement of their jaw. So this is one of my girls, and she's asleep, and all she's doing is opening her mouth and closing her mouth and pumping basically water over her gills. That's what allows her to basically sit there, really run out of breath. Number 5 is another one interesting question that many people ask me. Is it true that sharks have bad vision? Oh, actually, sharks have a very, very good vision. They can see very well. They actually have night vision. They can see at night thanks to a little coating in the back of the eye that reflects the night lights. So they can actually see like cats in the dark. All right. And they can actually, up to some time ago, we only thought the sharks could only see black and white, but they do recognize some colors. So some sharks have been found to have some cone cells in their eyes, so they can see colors. So why people say don't go swimming, in bad visibility water, because, the sharks won't be able to see. It's not that they have a bad vision. We need to remember that bad visibility does not mean bad vision. This is me in a cave. This is my other passion. I go cave diving, and this is a cave with a very, very bad visibility that prevents me to see very well, but that's because of what's in the water. But like this is a very good visibility, and this is where I am and work with my sharks. So the sharks will see us from a distance and very much see who we are and what we're doing and all of that. So in bad visibility, sharks might have to come too close or very close to see what that movement is, but in very good visibility, the sharks will be able to see and kind of like just swim around as like there's no problems. So they don't have bad visions. It's only sometimes there's bad visibility, so they can't see very well. It's like if you were in a snowstorm or a big rainstorm and you're in the car trying to see out. It's the same thing. And number 6, do the invisibility suits work? So everybody wants to find solutions about going safely in the water with sharks. And I always refer them back to the first questions. Let's learn about sharks. The invisibility suit work, we don't know. We don't know because it's impossible to test correctly. So scientifically, if you were a scientist, you will have test groups. Group of people that will go in the water with the suit, and a group of people that will go in the water without the suit in an area where you might think that sharks may be present, and see if that works. And it's impossible to find people that will go in the water either with the suit or without the suit to test this. So the tests that have been done maybe on mannequins, or like a surfboard or anything like that. But those things miss us who we are in the water. It misses our splashing, and it misses our heartbeat, and it misses our vibrations. So it's impossible to test a suit by not using the subject that is supposed to wear the suit, which is basically the human being. All right. So they might provide some different visual to the shark, but we have to remember the sharks have 7 senses. So not only it's a matter of seeing us, they can feel us, they can hear us, they can actually feel our heartbeats and brain waves. So there's very much a higher level of interaction communication with the sharks. And this brings me back to the fact that that's just why it's so safe to be in the water with them, because they can tell who we are and what we do. And they'll come in and go, ooh, oh yeah, I recognize you. You're just a diver, boring. And they just swim away. All right. So the number 7 question is it true that shark skin can cut you? And it is not. But the shark skin is covered in what we call dermal denticles. So it's actually the same material that covers the surface of your teeth. And if you go from the head of the sharks towards the tail, you'll find that it has a smooth, silky texture. It's actually really, really nice to pet a shark. Actually take people to pet sharks, and it's a beautiful sensation. And then if you go from the tail to the head, it feels a little bit rough, like a sandpaper. So a little bit of a rough thing. And this is basically the characteristic of the dermal denticles. But it's not that if a shark skin passes by you is gonna cut you. Now, I have this unique dive where I actually take the shark to the people, and they can reach out and pet the shark with their bare hands. So if that was true, I will have a lot of people with a lot of like cut fingertips, but it's not true. They can actually feel both the rough textures and the smooth texture just by patting the sharks. And actually, it's a very unique experience being able to do that. And while they do that, they can actually see the shark breathing. So both of them are very unique experience. Now, I have some shark scientist friends that works very in close contact with sharks. And sometimes if the shark wiggles quite a lot in their arms as they're working with them, maybe they're taking blood samples, anything that it might leave a little bit of a rough, kind of like rug burn on their skin. But even this one, you can see this is a scientist working with sharks. It was just a little rug burn and not a cut, nothing like that. But again, it's like a little bit of sandpaper. And then number 8, because I do take food down to the sharks. A lot of people think that because I take food down to the sharks, then they're like, oh, but when you're not there and you're not feeding them, they'll come in and eat you. And it is nothing more or less true than that. Sharks, like I said, have 7 senses, so they can tell when I have food in my hands and when I don't have food in my hands. I actually have done dives where I go down there, I feed them, I wear my protective suit, I have all the food, and then on the same dive, I take the protective suit off and I start swimming with the sharks, and the sharks go, oh, well, you're not interested anymore because you don't have any food. Kind of like maybe your cat come and rub itself against your legs when it wants to be fed, and then it's like, thank you very much, and swims away. So sharks will be attracted to me when I have food. That's just why I wear a protective suit. But when I don't feed, I don't need to wear a protective suit, and they're totally disinterested in my presence. Which brings us back to, again, question number 1. We need to know about sharks. So if I'm in the water, for example, spear fishing, then yes, I have to be a little bit more aware and understanding of shark behavior towards the fish that I just speared, because the sharks will be attracted to that. And again, let's learn about sharks in general. But as you can see, I come down there and I can actually walk with them in my dress. And this is a real picture. This is not fake. And they actually absolutely, totally ignore me. I actually wish they would come a little bit closer and say hello to me a little bit more. Which is really funny, because then after I explain to people that I feed sharks and I swim with sharks and I walk with sharks, I get quite a lot of questions about, have you ever been attacked? And the answer is no. I have been bitten, but I've been bitten because, as you can see in the pictures, I hand feed sharks. So sometimes I don't get my hand out of the way fast enough, and the sharks basically clamps down on my fingertips. That's just why I wear my suit that prevents accidental bites. But if I don't have food, or if I don't pull the food out of the feeder tube, the sharks will just basically swim around me and actually more come into my lap, like these 3 sharks, to be pet. And they definitely don't try to attack me nor bite me. So again, there's a difference in the behavior depending on the situation that we're in. There's quite a lot to really know and understand sharks, but it's really, really, really cool to jump in the water with them, and it takes your breath away, and you're thinking all the things that you heard about sharks, and then after 2 minutes you think, oh, they're all not true. So it's actually a very unique experience. And then number 10. A lot of people ask me, why sharks? Why you want to protect? Why you guys should want to protect sharks? Why should you be interested in wanting to help sharks? And this is the number 1 questions. I put a 10 because I hope you're going to remember it best, you know. So why do I need you to join us? Why do I need you to join Shark4Kids into understanding and wanting to protect sharks? Well, there's many reasons. One, I love sharks, so it's a personal reasons. I think they're beautiful. I think they're perfect. I think nature has done a masterpiece, and I think they're very, very vulnerable as well. But mostly important, they are a fundamental link in the survival of the oceans, and we know that the oceans are what makes this planet livable. So we depend from the oceans for everything. Even right now, I'm in landlocked Georgia, in the countryside, but somewhere, somehow, my life here depends from the oceans and what the oceans are doing to the weather and to the climate and to the food. So we need sharks to basically keep this planet healthy and to keep us healthy. So that's number 1 reason, besides loving them. We also need to protect sharks because we're killing them faster than what they can actually reproduce. All right. So we need to learn what is that causes sharks killing. Because you may think, well, I don't eat sharks, so sharks are safe with me. But sometimes we just need to look about, what do I eat? Where's my food coming from? And what is my food causing to sharks? So if I eat shrimps that are fish with a big drift net, does the drift net kill like a lot of other animals like turtles and dolphins and sharks that maybe should not be killed? So we can actually change things from where we are. Another one is, maybe I need to reduce the use of plastic. Maybe I need to stop having balloons. There's so many things that we can do. I can go grocery shopping with canvas bags. Anything that I do that prevents animals from being killed in the ocean, even from where I am, even in Canada, is a good thing to learn about. So if we learn about sharks and how they function, then we can learn about what are the things that we can do to protect them. And so one of the main things that I do is a lot of education. I have people coming from all over the world, and primarily a lot of women. I really love teaching a lot of young ladies and women. This lady is from India, just to show an example. And they come and learn what I do, and then I go back to their country and say, hey, we need to pay attention to what we do with food and what we do about sharks. I also educate the local Bahamians. Where I am in the Bahamas, we have school programs to teach how to swim and how to scuba dive and how to create future ocean ambassadors. And we do things like cleanups. This is like one of our many beach cleanups. The 8th of June was a World Ocean Day, and we actually went and cleaned up, not the beach, but actually a coastline where a lot of people throw the garbage right next to the water. And it's actually more dangerous because it gets right into our canals and very close to our fresh water supply. So we actually cleaned up where the water could end up in, where the garbage could end up in the water. So again, we do all these things that thinking every single action is linked, and every single action helps in also saving sharks. Because, like I said, I love sharks, and if you start learning about them, I am pretty sure you will start to loving them too. I actually think that because you're here, you already love sharks. You just need to learn a little bit more about them and what you can do, right, as ambassadors for them. Right, so here's what I basically let you with, is the future of the sharks is in our hands. It's in your hands. You are now my ambassadors. You will be Sharks4Kids ambassadors. It is your job to educate everybody around you, because you have more time to do it as well. All right, so don't forget to go on Sharks4Kids.com to check about sharks and all the lessons, and they have quite a lot of things, and also to learn about what to do for shark conservation. Let me come back to you. Here we go. And let me stop. Have I stopped screen share? Yeah, yes, very good. I'm back.
Yes, we can hear.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so we're ready for some questions.
I don't need more questions.
Okay, I see our classes have some questions. So I'm just going to go through my list, guys. And Miss Moreira's class, you guys are, your microphone's on mute. You can go ahead. Do you guys have a question, Miss Moreira's class?
Let me move a little. So yeah, less reflection. There we go. Yep. Better? Yes.
Hi, guys. I don't think we can hear you. If Miss Moreira's class can get their microphone working, we'll come back to you guys, okay? All right, Miss Gonzalez's class.
We do have a question.
Okay.
How much do sharks eat in a day?
How much do sharks eat in a day?
Yeah.
Depends on the shark. Remember, there's the little one that fits in the palm of my hand, or the whale sharks has to constantly filter feed. Some sharks may eat maybe a 10 to 15 pounds of food per week. A lot of sharks can eat and then go without food for quite a long time. So again, it depends on each species of sharks. What I feed my sharks is about 10 pounds of fish per day spread over about 20 sharks. So they eat very little, maybe a pound each.
Thank you.
Then they still have to go out in the wild and procure their own food.
Awesome, good question. Okay, Mrs. Zadrozny's class, grade 3s. Do you guys have a question?
Yes, we do.
What was it like growing up in the rainforest?
What was it like to grow up in the rainforest? It was, I think to this day, it's the best part of my life. So good that I actually went and found my rainforest in the oceans. So it was free, it was wild, sometimes it was dangerous. We had to learn about insects and snakes and where to stay away, what to stay away from. But it was fascinating and beautiful. It had these sounds during the day and the night. There was wild animals everywhere and fascinating with butterflies and insects. I grew up with a passion for insects. And it's really interesting because I think the rainforest on land is reflected into the underwater world. Going underwater on the coral reefs is like going like in a underwater rainforest with the same variety of animals and the same fascinating creatures and experiences. So just very, very similar alive, just a few years later.
Awesome, great question, guys. Thank you. I see that Miss Morera's class was able to type a question, so I'll read that out. And they said, our question is, what is the difference between a shark and a dolphin?
Very good question. So a shark is a fish and a dolphin is a mammal. So what makes a dolphin a mammal is the 5 characteristics. Now, let's see if I remember them. I hope my biology teacher is not watching. But what makes us a mammals, so dolphins are like us, they have to breathe air. So if you think about the dolphins, they have a blowhole and they have to come to the surface and breathe air. They actually give birth to live youngs, which some sharks do, but not all sharks. Okay, so that makes them also, so placental live birth. They have to nurse their kids. So actually dolphins have mammary glands that nurse their kids. They have to be warm-blooded, so like us. And they have to have hair, which is usually the one about dolphins. And people go, what do you mean dolphins have hair? But actually the baby dolphins, when they're born, they have a little mustache on their rostrum. And then they drop it as they grow up. So that's the main characteristic where sharks are fish. Now they're cartilaginous fish. That means they don't have the bones like the fish, have the scale like the fish, and they don't have the swimming bladder like the fish, but they are animals basically that live always underwater. That's the main difference.
Oh, awesome. Good question, guys. So let's move to, we have 2 questions. In Ottawa, if you guys want to ask your questions, otherwise I can read them out.
What happens when you flip a shark over on its back?
I actually don't, but if you were to do it, it goes in what it's called tonic immobility, which is a natural reaction of a shark to a stress or threat situation, and is a natural behavior observed not only in sharks but in many other animals. But in sharks specifically, is seems to facilitate the mating between the males and the females. So the male will flip the female over and facilitate the connection. And what they do, though, their heart rate slows down, and basically the sharks goes into this kind of like trance. And then when you write them up, you can actually, you have to swim in them a little bit. Now it's used by scientists quite a lot, because once you have a shark in tonic immobility, you can actually do little incision and put in like a satellite tag and stitch them up or work some issues and all of that. So definitely not an easy technique to do, but something that has been used before by humans.
I saw for the invisibility suits that some are black and white. How are they like invisible to sharks?
Very good. Very good question. So the black and white was supposed to imitate maybe a poisonous snake. So there's different thoughts. Obviously, people come up with different theories, but some of it were kind of like, well, if I look black and white like a poisonous underwater snake, the sharks will think I'm poisonous and basically stay away from me. But again, we go back to, well, if you are wearing a poisonous snake suit, what sharks are you trying to avoid? Because let's face it, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Everybody's afraid of a great white coming in and attacking us either if we're swimming or surfing. But the thing is, great whites do not live in the same water as poisonous snakes. So they will not understand that a striped suit is a poisonous creature. And sometimes sharks are actually attracted by contrast. So is the stripe gonna attract the shark more or less? So that's what they're trying to do. But again, like, very good questions is, I don't know how it's supposed to work.
Awesome. Okay, St. Gabriel, we'll come back to you in 1 minute. Does Miss Gonzalez's class have another question?
Yeah, this one's similar topic, so it's 2 in 1.
Okay.
Okay, lean down. All right, go ahead, Judy.
How much does the suit cost?
Ooh, it costs, so you can have different suits. The basic suits is $4,500, and my suit is $6,000, which a lot of people go, oh, but they're so expensive, and no, it's not. It's actually very, very, I wish I had it, but like I said, I'm traveling, so I don't have it. It's a very incredible creation. Now, it's actually created right there in Canada by 2 gentlemen that are very unique. They actually create suits also for movies like Games of Thrones and, you know, King Arthur and all of that. But the suit is like this welded links, stainless steel suit, welded links. And what it does, it prevents some of the pressures and the teeth from coming in. And it's so unique because it's metal, but it's actually so flexible that I can actually put it inside my hand, like in a little bundle. So the design allows me to wear this chain suit and then always fold my hand, and yet I'm covered in metal. So it's a very unique design. That's the reason why it's so expensive, and it's custom made for each suit. So each suit, they will take measurements and make it for the person that has been ordering it.
And Nora, what was your question? Is it heavy on your body?
Is it heavy on your body?
Is the suit heavy on your body?
Heavy.
It's about 20 pounds, which is fairly heavy, maybe as heavy as some of you. But once you're underwater, you can use air inside the vest that I wear, and that actually helps you stay off the bottom. And then when I take the vest off, I can actually walk on the bottom. I have the privilege of walking on the ocean floor like the astronauts walk on the moon. And but it's not that heavy. Some divers, when they dive in very cold water, wear a lot of suits, and actually sometimes wear more weight than I wear with my sharks. So it's relatively heavy, yes, but not too bad.
Good question. Thank you, Miss Gonzalez's class. We see a lot of great questions. We're just going to keep going in order. Miss Drozny's class.
Yep, we have another one.
Okay.
How did you get How did you get from a kid ambassador to an adult ambassador?
How do I get from
A kid ambassador to an adult ambassador.
Okay.
How do you become from a kid ambassador to an adult ambassador? You mean like when you grow up?
No, like how did you get?
I actually think I started with adults because I started with divers. That were my first contact. Is the divers would come and dive with me, and only you have to understand when I was diving in the beginning, we had no computers and no Skype and no internet. And the people that wanted to experience something either had to come in the water with me and come and visit me in the Bahamas or read it off a magazine, and sometimes maybe a TV program. So the potential of outreach was very, very little. So I started off with adults who were able to come dive in, and all of a sudden they were like, oh, wow, this is incredible. And then they will take videos maybe to their kids at home. And that's when they will write me back and say, oh, my son, my daughter saw this video and I just fell in love with sharks. And so that is when I realized how coming and talking to you, it's actually more important sometimes than talking to adults, because you can talk to adults better than I do. And I do believe they'll listen to you better than they listen to me, because you have understanding and wisdom that maybe sometimes we lose when we grow up. So I hope that by giving you that now, you can actually carry it with you. But you can talk to adults better than I do. That's the reason why I went from being an adult ambassador to talk to kids, because I hope my message is actually a little bit wider, because we listen to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we have another question from Miss Marrero's class, so I'm going to read it out. They said, our next question is, what kind of fish do sharks eat?
Okay, so my Caribbean Reef Sharks are what we call scavengers. And so they'll eat any of the reef fish that is typical of their environment when it's either injured or sick or dead or decaying. So if you go in the Pacific, a lot of the sharks are out there will eat some of the reef fish related to their environment. There are sharks that also eat a variety of food, like we said, some eat plankton, and some also eat other marine animals like turtles or dolphins. Usually, like I said, animals are injured or sick or dead or decayed. They will never attack a healthy dolphin or healthy turtle. And then some sharks we know they also eat like seals. So again, a huge variety of sharks and a huge variety of diets.
Awesome, great question, thank you. Okay, back to St. Gabriel, Miss Tipshirani's class. If you guys want to ask your question.
Run. We're coming.
Okay.
Invisibility.
Oh, go ahead.
How do invisibility suits work if the sharks can sense you anyways?
That was my point. I'm not sure how they work. They're supposed to, so the nature world works into what it's called counter shading. So counter shading is an animal. If you look at the sharks, they're dark on the top and white on the bottom. And so if you're swimming in the ocean and you look down, it's very hard to discern the shape of the shark, which is dark, and it's against the dark bottom. And if you look up into the sunlight, it's very hard to see a white belly into the bright sunlight. And it works really well. The other day I was actually looking for a mooring to put down for a wreck, and I was being towed behind the boat, and I actually saw this giant hammerhead. And the reason why I saw her is because she was actually, I don't know why, but she was turned sideways, and I could see her bright belly, right, white bright belly against the dark bottom. And as soon as she saw me swimming over her, she'll turn and swam away. And when she turned, I was like, where did she go? Because now she was dark. So the invisibility suit is using the same concept of counter shading. It's supposed to blend into the colors of the water, so that when the shark looks, it just sees just the blue water, for example. But again, like you said, they can sense us. So how is it going to work? I don't know. I never saw the tests done.
So it only protects you visually?
Technically, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome, and there was another question from St. Gabriel. Go ahead, guys.
Are there any sharks in captivity?
Yes, there are. There are quite a few aquariums that holds on to sharks. This is a big subject. So are aquariums good or bad? I am a firm believer that nothing is 100% one way or the other. I have been in some aquariums whose habitats were very, very big, and they held on to like very, very small sharks, like little black tips or little white tips. And I do believe those sharks become ambassadors for the other sharks out there. A lot of people that will never reach the ocean, will never have an opportunity to swim or be with sharks in the ocean, and they go to the aquarium and they can really see something that they are not familiar with. Then there are some aquariums that maybe have bigger sharks, and that is a different topic. But I do believe there are sharks in captivity. There's quite a lot of aquariums that do rehabilitation, and there's quite a lot of aquariums where the sharks reproduce themselves. That means they're also very comfortable inside where they are. And I do believe some of them are really good for the sharks because people get to see the animal. It's not a myth.
Awesome. Great questions. Thanks, guys. So we have time for one more question from each class. So Miss Gonzalez's class.
All right, go ahead.
How does babies get their little teeth, and how does the babies grow up and get their big teeth?
Okay, so sharks, baby sharks are born the perfect image of adults. So they're just miniature adult sharks. They're actually born with everything in place like adults. They actually have no parents. So once the shark leaves either the eggs or gives birth, live birth or whatever, the sharks are on their own. The teeth grow with the body size as the body grows. So they don't really have milk teeth and the full teeth like we do. But sharks do change their teeth throughout their lifetime. So the teeth keep falling out and the next rows of teeth keep coming up. So it's actually pretty unique system. They never have to go to the dentist. I just would like to be a shark just because of that. But their teeth change just in size with the size of the body. Now, there are some specific species that may change a little bit the shape of the teeth as they change their diet. But that goes species to species.
Awesome. Great question. Thank you so much, guys. And Miss Marrero's class, I saw you typed out a question. I will look it up. Okay, we said, Cristina, do you like to see movies about sharks? For example, there's a new movie coming out called 47 Meters Down. Will you go to see that movie?
I like to watch documentaries about sharks. I watch movies about sharks. I know it's a movie, but it upsets me that the sharks are so portrayed. You know, like they give them humans' behaviors and thoughts and process and all of that. Now I watched Jaws, and I watched Jaws as a kid, and I was very fortunate. My parents were kind of like, "Oh, it's just a movie. Don't worry about it." And then I watched Jaws as an adult and actually laughed because I think it was really funny. But I can see these movies are not good for the sharks. They keep scaring people against sharks and give people ideas about sharks that are not correct. Technically, you should say, well, it's a movie and people should understand that it's a fiction. But sometimes it's not easy to separate fictions from reality. So till sharks understanding and knowledge gets better and more appreciated by people, I don't think these movies are doing a great favor to sharks. And so, no, I don't want to watch them. I'm not going to finance something that continues to portray an untruth and negative image of sharks. They don't deserve my money.
Awesome. That was a good question, guys. Okay, and Mrs. Zadrosny's class, do you have another question?
Yes.
How long can a shark grow up to?
How long?
Yeah, how long?
You mean size or age?
Size.
It depends on the species. If you remember, like the number, like mine sharks, the biggest one was ever recorded was 9.6 feet long, which if you consider that the tallest human being is 7.2 feet, that is, you know, above average. My average shark is between 7 and 8 feet long, adult size. But then you can have a great white that grows up to 20 feet, or a lantern shark that grows up to 6 inches, or whale sharks that grows up to 50 feet, or bull sharks that grows up to 9 feet. So a tiger shark gets as long as a great white, maybe 18 to 20 feet. So it depends on each species how how long they become.
Great. Nice question. Thank you. Okay, guys, so we are officially out of time. And we want to say a big thank you to Cristina for telling us all about sharks today. So I'm going to turn everyone's microphone on so they can say a big thank you and to Sharks for Kids as well for hosting.
Now,
Okay, a big thank you, guys.
Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, Melissa.
No problem. Thank you so much.